Hello, everyone. My name is Peter Sussman, and today I'm going to be talking about Firestorm at Peshtigo, a town, its people, and the deadliest fire in American history, by Denise Jess and William Lutz. On the evening of October 8th, 1871, the town of Peshtigo, Wisconsin, was consumed by a firestorm in less than an hour. Flames moved at speeds of up to 100 miles per hour, with temperatures exceeding 1,000 degrees Fahrenheit. The fire quickly became the deadliest in U.S. history, yet it is often overlooked in historical discussions. One of the main reasons for this is timing. The Great Chicago Fire, which occurred on the same night, dominated national media attention. Peshtigo, a small lumber town with fewer connections to major cities, did not receive the same recognition despite experiencing far greater casualties. The tragedy remains a powerful reminder of how history often remembers certain events while overlooking others. Several factors contributed to the rapid spread of the Peshtigo fire. The summer of 1871 had been exceptionally dry, creating an environment where trees, grass, and wooden buildings were highly flammable. Logging operations in the area had left behind large amounts of sawdust and debris, which acted as fuel for the fire. It is believed that the fire started when a small fire was set by railroad workers, and strong southwesterly winds caused it to spread uncontrollably. The flames jumped across the rivers, creating massive fire tornadoes, and within minutes, entire towns were reduced to ash, um, and those caught in the fire had little chance to escape. The accounts of survivors provide a unique picture of what happened that night. Witnesses describe the sky as turning blood red, with flames stretching over 100 feet into the air. The sound of the fire was compared to rushing waterfalls or a freight train, making it impossible to hear anything else. People desperately tried to outrun the flames, but the fire moved too fast, trapping entire families. Some survivors were lifted into the air by fire tornadoes, while others sought refuge in the Peshtigo River, or underground root cellars. Many people who attempted to hide in the wells or basements suffocated as the fire consumed all available oxygen. The fire was so intense that it melted sand into glass and left nothing but ash in its wake. The destruction caused by the Peshtigo fire was almost unimaginable, and more than 1,500 people lost their lives, though some estimates suggest that the death toll may have been as high as 2,500, as bodies were never recovered. 17 towns were completely destroyed, along with numerous logging camps and farms, and the fire burned between 1.2 and 1.5 million acres in an area larger than the state of Rhode Island. Financially, the damage was estimated at $169 million, equivalent to the losses from the Great Chicago Fire. One of the reasons why relief efforts were slow was that telegraph lines had burned down, delaying the spread of news about the disaster. Without fast communication, many survivors were left without aid for days. The fire had lasting consequences on the town, and many people chose to leave rather than attempt to rebuild. Some families were entirely wiped out, leaving no descendants to pass on their stories. Survivors often carried severe emotional trauma, with many refusing to speak of the fire ever again. The economic consequences were also significant, as businesses had to be relocated and entire towns were wiped out. Peshtigo never regained its previous status as a major center for lumber production. The disaster helped raise awareness about the dangers of wildfires, though most policy changes came as a result of the Great Chicago Fire. One major outcome was the development of better fire escape plans and stricter building codes in urban areas. Cities recognized that the dangers of highly flammable wooden construction and began adopting fire resistant materials. Early warning systems were improved and land use practices as well, especially in logging towns. It led to the idea of controlled burns, where small intentional fires were set to prevent large wildfires from occurring. The fire also contributed to the eventual creation of the U.S. Forest Service in 1905, which established national policies for wildfire prevention. Other fire prevention techniques, such as fire breaks and the clearing of dry vegetation, became standard forestry practices to reduce the risk of similar disasters in the future. One of the greatest strengths of the book was that it was very engaging in its storytelling. Unlike the traditional historical report, the book reads more like a novel, making it both informative and compelling. And the authors incorporate detailed survivor accounts using real diaries and first-hand testimonies to immerse the reader in the disaster. Additionally, they also use meteorological data, newspaper reports, and well researched and credible accounts. Most importantly, it sheds light on a disaster that has been largely overlooked in history, giving a voice to those who lost their lives due to poor fire management. It also explores the science of firestorms and how extreme weather, human error, and poor forestry practices contribute to one of the deadliest fires in history. While the book is a strong historical account, there are areas where it could have provided more depth. One limitation is the lack of discussion on the long-term policies. Although it details the immediate aftermath of the fire, it does not thoroughly explore how the event influenced future fire safety regulations. Another issue is while the book acknowledges how the Peshtigo fire was overshadowed by the Great Chicago Fire, it does not deeply examine why media attention focused so heavily on Chicago. The Peshtigo fire remains the deadliest wildfire in U.S. history, yet it is rarely discussed outside of Wisconsin. The book Firestorm Peshtigo helps restore this event to public memory, highlighting the consequences of poor fire management and lack of preparedness.